music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Spot Podcast and the Film Review Life channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
What is going on? What is going on here? Saying what's up to everyone that is listening and watching.
Yes.
Episode 143 of #TFR Podcast Live. That's the Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. As you see, I have on the classic, the Film Review, and my wife has on the Spot. You know, we broadcast lively on #You Found the Spot,
Right.
the Spot Podcast,
Yeah.
replays on Spotify. That's right. Replays on Spotify. So what's up? I want to say what's up to Tayam Congress. She shouted us out
Hey,
early. You want to
Tayam.
say what's up to her. You know what we do
Yep.
with that. You know, her next episode of What's the Point just debuted on Spotify. Make sure you go listen. She gives that great information. Listen. I want to say what's up to Periscope, Vimeo, FB on You Found the Spot, and on YouTube on You Found the Spot, and the Film Review Life channel where you can see us live. Make sure you subscribe, press like, share, send to some of your friends, at least 5 of your friends, tag them because we are going places on this episode. You know what I mean? So we are thick in the middle of COVID. Tayam Congress said, I got my shirt. That's right.
Yeah.
So look, we are in the thick of
Yeah.
COVID. They are talking about getting people to take the vaccine. And my question always is to things like that is especially today.
Okay.
You know, Martin Luther King's birthday was Friday.
Right.
We had a robust show on Friday. #Observations TFR.
Yeah.
If you haven't saw that or listened to that, you need to go back and watch it or listen to it after this show is over.
Yeah.
Binge watch, you know what I mean? His birthday was Friday.
Yeah.
His celebration is on Monday.
Yes.
And today, on the 17th of January, we asked, what would MLK do?
Yeah.
What would MLK do? Do you think that MLK would take the vaccine?
I don't think so.
Do you
I think he would kind of wait. He would kind of see how it affects other people before he took it. I don't think he would be the first in line.
Martin Luther King would be 92.
Right.
Right? And so he would be taking a moment, right? Of course, this is a scene from the March on Washington, right?
Right.
And, you know, we're talking about Martin Luther King because, you know, his birthday is tomorrow.
Right.
And my thing is, what would Martin Luther King do, right?
Right.
The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You know, a lot of people think that they are Martin Luther King. They go out and they emulate many of the things that he does, but
Right.
Martin Luther King was a Rhodes Scholar. He graduated from college
Right.
when he was 16 years old.
He's a genius.
16 years old, and
Right.
when he passed on at 39 because of the rigors that were put on his body, he looked like he was 59 or 60, right?
Yeah, he did look much older.
He didn't look like a 39-year-old, and people who don't have that under their belt think that they are Martin Luther King. Smash the share button, smash the like button, right? Now look, what would Martin Luther King do? You know what I mean? What would Martin Luther King do? Because people who are saviors come to different generations all the time. And because the powers that be realize that they have people's minds controlled, they can cut down the saviors like they cut down the Savior in the Bible, and people will do nothing about it. What would MLK do?
Well, I mean, he was a very a strategic person, and he was, a strategizer, and he was an organizer, and he would sit back and say, "Hey, let me see how," because, like you said, okay, at the age of, did you say 92?
92.
92. So he would say, okay, well, let me give this a couple of weeks and see how the shot affected such and such, such and such, because it is optional. And they are offering the shots to senior citizens first, correct? So I don't think he would be the first senior citizen in line. He might say, catch me in like 4 weeks.
How I know that that's so is because, remember, when they went across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and he had called all the people together, he kneeled down and he started to pray, and he looked across at the bridge at all of the
is it the National Guard?
Not National Guard, those was just the sheriff's department, the police department for that. National Guard was on our side when it came out finally. But he looked and he got up and he turned the people around. He said, we need a larger contingency to go across this bridge of all different type of people. So the first time he got up and turned around and said it was not a good idea.
Right.
The second time he got the people together with a larger contingency, they crossed the bridge. The media was there to see it. And the police and the marshals still went across and proceeded to beat them on the bridge. But Martin Luther King knew that without the media there and without a cross section of people, of all groups of people, that they would be able to get away with it and just say it was just some Negro. So yes, he would move with caution. Now,
exactly.
How I realized that is during the Wimbush situation. This is what I learned during Wimbush. My wife and I came to Cleveland State in the summertime, 1990, and it always seems that Generation X within that era that was born between 1971 to 1973, we got the brunt of the experiment, right? The Generation X that came a little bit before 66, 67, 68, 69, they didn't quite get the brunt of it, right? But 71, 72, 73 got the brunt of the experiment. First we were bust, right? Then in the 80s, the free cheese and the butter, right? And then the crack. And we're right in the middle of the brunt of the experiment, right? Right in the brunt of it. Now, we get to Cleveland State 1990. The man who created the program that we were in, the class program, when you came down, you stayed in the dormitory, you learned, you took 2 classes. We took 2 classes plus the mentoring classes we had with the class program staff, right? And you basically learned the campus, so you would be a super freshman by the time you got there. Now, when we get there, the man who created it, that we never saw that whole summer, we never saw him, right? We
only saw him once, and that was before the program started.
That's right. He stood there and he said, welcome.
Yeah.
We saw him, but we didn't see him after that the whole summer. But he was embroiled because the trustees booted him out because they said that he was moving too fast on American black issues on the campus, right? This is 1990. When is it ever fast enough?
In Cleveland, Ohio.
All right, Cleveland, Ohio, right? Cleveland State University, right? So we're there.
Right.
And so we're there, and I learned this. There would be a lot of older people. Now, this was supposed to be put together by the students that were there at Cleveland State that knew him before. People who would be seniors, juniors, sophomores, right? Because we were coming in as the freshman class. And it was supposed to be put together, but somehow it got co-opted by older people who had their theory of what the civil rights movement was, and were there trying to live out some kind of sick, in my opinion, some kind of sick fantasy of what the civil rights movement was, just sitting down there gossiping, and they had taken over, what was the name of that hall? They had taken it over down there on Euclid. Where the health center was.
And
it was Mathers Hall.
Yeah,
it was Mathers Hall.
Is that
right.
Mathers?
Mathers, right. Mathers Hall. So they had took that over, and they were just talking gossip to older people. Now, this is what I learned about the civil rights movement, right? And this is very important, right? The civil rights movement. There were only 10 core people in the civil rights movement. You know how everybody else got there? They would promise them food after the event. Whatever the event was, they would offer these people food. So when you saw a mass amount of people, it was the food that was offered afterwards, right? That made it seem like a lot of people were involved. So as you go through and you come up in life, you find out there were a lot of American blacks who profited from off of what Martin Luther King did, but a lot of them didn't have skin in the game, right? And you shouldn't listen to what they say because they don't, as far as politics, civil rights, Martin Luther King, what was Martin Luther King? Because they had no skin in the game, right? So you really shouldn't listen to it. Perfect example of this, I equate it to hip hop. I remember, promoting hip hop acts, and I remember there was a move in Cleveland, Ohio over the radio where a person came on the radio who will remain nameless. At that time, it must have been a mental illness that just set in, right? Desperation of success can sometimes make mental illness set in. The person said over the radio that to be universal, don't mention anything about places in Cleveland in your music, be more universal. Now, my thing is, hip hop, by what Chuck D said, is the CNN of the black community. They want to know what's happening in Houston.
Right.
They want to know what's happening in LA. Right. They want to know what's happening in Atlanta, GA. Right. They want to know what's happening in New York, right? So the words that were being said were counterintuitive to what true hip hop is, because we wouldn't have known what Compton, California was like. We wouldn't have known what Fifth Ward was like. Right. We wouldn't have known what Atlanta is like. Right. Bankhead, right? We wouldn't have known what Brooklyn was like, right? What the Bronx was like, right? So sometimes you have to, when you listen to people, and me as a person who really studied, you know what I'm saying, and did practical application with my studies, I find that you can't tell people anything. And this is my point as we wrap up on Martin Luther King here. You can't tell people, you can't inform people and then they move off what you said, because they think you don't know what you're talking about, because they haven't thought about it, they haven't researched it, they haven't done any of those things. So Martin Luther King couldn't tell the people the information on what to do either, obviously, because after he left, all of the people that was the nucleus went in their own directions and went into the suites
Right.
Martin Luther King wouldn't have never went into the suites because
Right.
they know it was the battle still
Right.
in the streets.
Right.
So you can't tell, and how do you can tell that Martin Luther King's message did not get through to the people, that people were just taking advantage of what he and some of the others put their blood, sweat, tear, body into,
Right.
is how you know,
Right.
is how people voted. Martin Luther King wouldn't have never voted for racism to defeat racism. And so that's where we will leave that right there. Martin Luther King wouldn't have never
Right.
voted for racism to defeat racism. And the vote is only valuable when you get something for your vote, like the Civil Rights Act of 1963, the Voters' Rights Act of 64, and in 64, 65, and 68, the Fair Housing Act, right?
Right.
So we just want to be clear. You can't tell people. So I'll give examples of what I saw down there during the Wimbush situation. You know what? Wimbush was already gone. He had done his thing. He's a tenured professor.
Right.
He's making his thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's it. When it's all said and done, you can't. How you know if something ingested in people, and if they really know what they're doing. Like, I can't follow, at this point, I can't follow any of the old people, and it's a shame, because the old people are supposed to be the griots. They're supposed to be the ones that kick knowledge, but I can't follow any of them because they voted racism to get rid of racism. You can't put Satan in to get rid of Satan. It's still Satan.
Satan and the devil, or Lucifer.
Satan and
versus
Lucifer.
Lucifer
Church
versus
of-
the demon. I mean,
The church is Luciferian. The church of Satan. The church of demons. It's all the same. And so it's disappointment. It's disappointment on this couple of days after Martin Luther King's birthday, and his celebration is tomorrow.
Yes.
And the white supremacists are acting up all during the time that has to do with his birthday. You understand? You know what I mean? Let's see what some people said. Devon Lewis said, Devron Lewis said, the science, period. Miss Ash said, hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Tanya M. Congress say, hey, y'all.
Hey.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in
Yes.
right now. So look, let's move on to our first review.
Yes.
Our first review for tonight. Okay. Our first review is called, let me get the trailer rolling. You know how we do. We're very interactive here. So let's get the trailer rolling so that you can hear the trailer.
A promising young woman.
The promising young woman. That's right.
Good God Almighty.
Okay. So look, the promising young woman, right? Now, the poster, let me shrink, let me see this, see the poster, you see the bloody lips and you see her in the middle, right? So this is, can you call it a satire? I think I will call it, it's a satire, and it's really a dramedy, but it's also trying to turn more drama in it, right? So what happens is the whole premise of the movie is about how a certain well-to-do type of Caucasian male gets away with murder gets away with not literal murder, but gets away with murder on the college campus, meaning that they can take girls and have their way with the young girls, young college students that may be even in the same class study as they are, right? And so this is the whole premise, and there is a femme fatale out there that is getting revenge on something that it appears by the trailer, it appears happens to her. And she's out to get revenge, right, on these dudes one by one, or dudes like that in the bar setting that pick up intoxicated women and take them back to places to have unwanted sex, and then the women most likely don't remember what happened the next morning, and then there's really no recourse because most people say, well, you had it coming because you should have kept yourself together, right? So that's the long of what the movie is about, right? But the synopsis is a young woman gets revenge for something that happened during her college years on men in everyday life in the bar culture.
She gets because they're in the women who played a role in it, who were complicit in the actions and set back while they watch other men take advantage of other women.
Right.
She has something special for them too.
Yes, she does. Yeah,
so she's equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity, right? So initially, the trailer on this is misleading.
Although it's good.
Let's go through the cast.
Yeah. Starring Carey Mulligan, Bo Burnham, Emerald Fennell, Allison Brie, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Jennifer Coolidge, Connie Britton, Adam Brody, Max Greenfield, Chris Lowell, Laverne Cox, and Angela Zoe, Alfred Molina, Clancy Brown, Sam Richardson, Molly Shannon, Stephen Monroe, Casey Adams, and Timothy E. Goodwin. So although the trailer is a little different than what the trailer actually portrays.
Okay, let
but the trailer is still really good.
Let me tell you something.
Because I was interested in it from seeing the trailer.
That's right. The trailer has "Toxic" by Britney Spears playing in it, and they kind of took "Toxic," kind of like Jordan Peele did for Us.
Yeah.
And he took 5 on it, and he made 5 on it creepy, right?
Yeah.
And so they take Toxic and they make Toxic creepy. It can send chills up your spine, right?
It's nice though the way it's done.
Yeah, it's nice the way it's done, but it can send chills up your spine. So when you're watching the trailer, you're thinking that this woman is exacting ultimate revenge on these men, the ultimate revenge, the ultimate revenge. But however, the movie kind of goes into a doldrum. It goes into a doldrum, and you're sitting up there like, what's going on? This is not exactly. The trailer is misleading, is what I've got to say.
And during the film, right? So for you said doldrums, but I was quite entertained from beginning to end. There wasn't any doldrums for me. So, I mean, because this is a really good film and it's quite entertaining. And so the areas that might be considered a doldrum is, for me, was setting up setting up the story. And so,
is there one dude in this picture that
decent?
is not an asshole? That's what we need to know. Is that not one?
There is.
Is
but I don't
there
want to give it
one
away.
in the picture that's not an asshole?
Yes, there is, but we don't want to give it away.
Right? Is there one?
There's one.
Right?
Yeah.
The what you think this picture is, it comes out in April.
Okay.
What you think this picture is, it isn't. But I will say that, it will keep your interest, and there is 2 ultimate twists that happen at the end of the film that you do not
see coming at all.
You do not see coming, and you're like, what the is this?
Such a good film.
What the
Such a good
is
film.
this? Like, you're like, oh my God, I sat up here, I got invested, and what is this? So let's go through the obvious. So cinematography, you know, that's a 10. The frame within frame images that they have produced in this is just phenomenal, right? The movement of the camera, that's a 10. The character development, introducing who the character is and using they're really using more content to give context. There's not many flashbacks. The flashbacks are more told within the context of the dialogue, right?
Yeah.
So the development of the characters, I get at a 10, right? The arc of the characters, right? The arcing of the character, I'm going to give that character development is 10, introduce you who they are. The arc of the character, I'm going to give it a 7, right? Because there's something that happens in the movie where there's a love interest and the person kind of goes back. I said, oh, this is going to be a kind of reverse hero's journey, and then there's going to be a big gloom in the second half of the film, and I was not wrong on that, right? So I'm going to give that a 7.
Okay.
Location to where they shot it and how they lit the locations, I'm going to give that a 10, right? The use of music in this,
Beautiful.
it's well done. It's well done, right?
Yeah.
How old am I?
It's a
My
10.
hobbies.
So what would you rate
My name.
promising young women? Promising young woman, excuse me.
I would definitely, give it a 10. We talked about it.
I left under.
Like, okay, so for me, the character arc,
Why I dropped down.
I mean, like, from the beginning of the movie,
Get accusations like this all the time.
she was arc to me.
Right.
She had already, right? She comes in arc. But like,
You gotta let it go.
what I love about the film is I love the storytelling. And like you talked about, I love how
I don't know.
the twist, there's a twist in the film.
It's two twists.
Two twists. And I love how this film isn't predictable. Like, you just sitting there, you're going along for the ride. Carey Mulligan does a really great job because you find yourself being a cheerleader, you're on her team, because you learn the behind the scenes. You learn why she's doing what she's doing. And once you see the guys and girls who she is not up against, but who she's exacting revenge on,
Mm-hmm.
you would be like, I would do the same thing because they are assholes.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a good film. Like, I love I love the action. I love the comedy. Molly Shannon is in it. Laverne Cox is in it. I love there's just like a little bit of romance in it. The music is great. Like, everything is in it. The cinematography is great. It's just well done, and it's not boring. The film as soon as it comes on, it like pops into action. And then you're going for a ride, and before you know it, it's over with. And I'm like, Dig, I wish this was a series so I could see the next episode. But it's a really good film. It's worth every penny. The trailer is good, but it's way more than the trailer. And I would definitely see it.
What would you give it though?
Definitely a 10.
I see. That's where me.
I'll give it
I was sitting there I was watching it, and then I'm sitting up here like, well, where is what I'm expecting from the trailer?
What was you expecting?
What I was expecting something like the Joker or the Harlequin. I was expecting.
Promising young woman.
But you're sitting up there and you're watching and she smears her lipstick and you
not
you're
a
thinking,
Marvel
wait a minute,
film.
we're not a Marvel film. We're talking about neither was Joker.
That was DC Comics.
That wasn't DC either. That was Joker. That was a standalone.
Oh.
And that was showing a psychotic break. And so what I was looking for was a psychotic break.
Yeah,
all I can tell you is what you think is happening in the film
If I hear that one more
is
time,
not happening in the film. That's what I'm going to tell you that way. So I'm sitting up there at one point, I'm sitting up here, there's a lot of dialogue going on through this film.
It was
And
great writing.
I'm like, there's a lot of, see, if I want to go see a play and hear context, I'll go see a play. But when you're in a movie is about images. So the images is supposed to tell the story, right? So the movie is not a movie that I would say is trash. It's not trash.
That was good.
It's a entertaining way. And then when you get through the doldrum, which is like the second third of the movie, and you get to the last third of the movie, then it picks up, and then there's a double twist in it, and you're like, wow, and then you're fulfilled. But it's just that in between middle where it goes someplace. I remember how we talked about Wonder Woman, and we said Wonder Woman,
better than Wonder
Woman. WW84, and how 2/3 of the movie was just this romance, and you just couldn't figure it out.
That's a bad.
I need to know. I'm not finished. I said it's
better, right?
within the 2/3, so that means it's 1/3. Within the second 2/3 of the film, which is 1/3 of the film, is this long doldrum. I need to know who directed this, who wrote it, and directed it, so that we'll let people know. So listen.
The soundtrack. I think the soundtrack best explains. Like the soundtrack is done by like all women. Every song is a female artist.
Let me know if a woman directed it, and let me know if a woman wrote it, and then we'll be getting somewhere.
See, that's what I was going to say, because I think.
Okay, can we get I need to know.
I think you have to.
They
do a great job in explaining.
What are they explaining? Too much explaining.
Not explaining.
That's what it is.
But that's the problem with the world today. People don't want to see walk in the shoes of the other person.
But she's walking into situations like you see in the trailer, so it's no spoiler. She's walking into situations like she's.
Oh yeah, we said this.
She's intoxicated to the point where she could be taken advantage of. And who directed it? Who wrote it?
Emerald Fennell.
Okay, Emerald Fennell.
She's starring in it. She's one of the characters in the film. She plays one of the characters.
Who directed it?
Emerald Fennell directed it, and it's produced by Margot Robbie.
Okay.
As well as Emerald Fennell and other people.
Now look. To be honest, this must have been a vehicle for Margot Robbie, but Margot Robbie, in between Harlequin and the last movie, in between the what's the name squad, the Suicide Squad, and
the Tanya Harding
and Tanya Harding and the Harlequin that came out, the Birds of Prey. In between that time, Margot Robbie got pregnant. She's going on with her life, and so by the time she got to Harlequin, she was not Harlequin body. Now we broke that down, right? Because Harlequin is a certain drawn by men back when Harlequin and the Joker and all that came out, and so she is supposed to be a sex pot. But when she came back in Birds of Prey, she's wearing loose shorts. So this obviously was a vehicle for her, Margot Robbie, the Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad.
I am a nice guy.
To me, this woman, because the script must have been written for Margot Robbie.
How old am I?
The woman that's playing this part does not hold up because she doesn't have Margot face. Wait a minute. I'm just giving my opinion on it. It's very important because to sell a movie like this, right? To sell a movie like this, and you're telling people to come to the theater to see this film or to watch it on stream, right? To sell a film like this, you're looking at this film, and then you say, wait a minute, 1/3 of it is all about they're talking. It's hardly no action in it. Then you need face to sell it, and you need someone like Margot Robbie who was fit and in shape to nail that character. She was like the quote unquote stereotypical pinup girl type, right? She does not hold that interest. So you see, she's putting on the heels, and she's not the pinup girl type. Not to say that she didn't do a good job acting, right? So I'm breaking this down. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, it's showing you this with bloody lips. What is happening in the story when you see it in April when it comes out? It's not what's happening. The trailer misleads in a way, right? Which brings me down. For women, they're gonna love it, but it's something about. That's what I'm saying. It's something about the way that women are directing. A woman directed WW84. We get into this whole romance thing through the 2/3 of the movie, and Wonder Woman is singing.
But we reviewed Wonder Woman, and we're not right now. We're reviewing something totally
I'm telling you,
which is much better.
And I'm telling you that this whole thing with the Me Too, if you're going to do something that is, if you're going to sell it as it's going to be gore, it best be gore. So I give Promising Young Woman, I give it a 6.
Okay.
Right. So I mean, it's not the best.
I think
it's not the worst.
Yeah, it's good. It reminds me of, because I'm a big fan of. I love like a lot of earlier movies, right? Mm-hmm. So I watch a lot of Turner Classic movies.
What did you say? What did you say when we were watching it? What channel would it be?
Oh yeah, so this would be like growing up, right?
Wait, tell me what channel.
Listen, okay, but you have to let me talk. So growing up, me and my sister and just about most of my friends, right? So we watched Lifetime, right? So when Lifetime. They would have but you never liked Lifetime.
I mean,
right? but the movie, I said once this film is out of rotation, and
it'll be perfect for what channel?
Once it's out of rotation, right? And once they put it on like television, this will definitely be like a #1 Lifetime movie.
#1 Lifetime.
And the reason why I said that is because #1, the female character is strong, right? And then #2, she does revenge on the people who don't want to give it away, but the people who terrorized someone in the film. You'll see. You'll see the film. But the thing about it is, but it's well written, and just like in Lifetime, right? They have the storyline, it's interesting, the characters. But like I said, the women are like fighters, right? And they go after the people who do them wrong.
Unfortunately, as we move to the next film, it's
a good movie.
There's more gore on Lifetime. Let's move on. All right, people.
She's a short
Our next film is called Another Round. It's based on 5 friends, right, who get together, but it's really focused on one man.
Right.
But it's 5 friends to get together and they drink, right? It's an Italian film, so it's in subtitles. So you got to be willing to read subtitles, right? So let me press the situation so that you can see it as it comes up. So look, this is a film that is about alcohol. This movie is about alcohol.
Right.
It is about the consumption of
Right.
alcohol and being in that world of consuming alcohol. And it deals with alcoholism
Yeah.
and alcoholics, right? Now, did you know, and you can research, did you know that while the founding fathers were writing on the Constitution,
Doing a lot of drinking.
they were drinking cider. You know, there's hard, what they call hard cider, and then there's just soft cider.
Hard
but the,
cider.
The more that you ferment
Right.
something,
Right.
it releases the toxins that turns it intoxicating. And so this is what this story is about. So certain things. Winston Churchill was intoxicated when he sent civilians out to fight the war on boats, because they had boats in the river, and he sent them out to fight. It was successful, but it wouldn't have been done if he hadn't have been intoxicated. If he hadn't have been intoxicated, let me rephrase. The question is, would it have been done if he hadn't have been successful? Would the Constitution have come out as is flawed, but as well as it did if these people were not intoxicated at the time of the creation of the document, right? And so this is what this shows. Most of these men who are friends are teachers, right? And so there's a drunk's coach, there's a drunk lit teacher, and etc., etc. I don't want to give it away too much, right? But as you see, they're sitting there at the table, and they say, well, we like to start with champagne first, because they're getting ready to get blizzos, right?
You know, just like you told that story, history will tell today. I have no doubt there are politicians. I mean, and we watch it and we say, but there are a lot of politicians today who are completely wasted, and they're on TV like they're giving like these interviews, and it's just it's quite interesting. You can tell they're gone, but nobody's saying anything about it. But yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So you see, this film is a tour de force in taking you into the mind of an alcoholic. Now, I don't know how many of you have had alcoholics or people who
Everybody
like
knows.
to drink
Right.
in your family during the holidays.
Family,
right?
friends, yeah.
Right?
Right.
And this takes you into that world extensively. It's something that, they won't drink. So what's interesting about the film is young people who are just getting into drinking will get a different perspective out the film than, let's say, anonymous alcoholics or reformed alcoholics who watch the film, you see. And they can be in the same room together, and the older people who have been through the way that some of these youth are going to be coming through will look at them and say, boy, that's how I started, with a can of beer watching a film, with a box of beer watching the film. And like some theaters have wine and beer, and and that's how I started doing that. That's what they would say, right? And so it's an interesting film, right? And so you should definitely check it out. I'm going to leave rating off of it because it's something that you have to see for yourself, because you got to read subtitles, and I want you to push into seeing it. So cinematography, but we'll break down. Cinematography is a 10. The use of lighting. Look at that. Look, that's beautiful lighting on that image, right? To show low key image. That's a 10. the use of camera automatically, the movement of the camera as if you're a fly on the wall, right? From steady to handicap, that's a 10, right? The storyline and through line, that's a 10. The acting, because some people have a caricature of what it is to be an alcoholic. These particular men brought out what you would see in a true alcoholic. So I have to give them a 10 on that, right? But I'm going to leave the rating of the film to you because, like I said, you have to read subtitles.
And before you know it, you forget that you're reading subtitles.
Unless you're a slow reader.
Well, because when I first saw, I was going to say City of God, right?
Oh, yeah, City
so
of God.
So that movie, I mean, it's just, it's amazing. And
the Brazilian Beanie Man.
And you forget that you're reading subtitles, right?
Right.
But then, now that I think about it, going back even further, when I was younger, I don't know if it was Channel 43 or not, but I know it's a black and white film, starring Sophia Loren, and it had subtitles, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember as a kid reading the subtitles. So, I mean, you do forget when you're watching a really good film that
So what did you think about their portrayal of alcoholics in this film?
I think they did a really good job because, I mean, it's true. I mean, in all areas of life.
Or were they drunkards?
I mean, they were functional, and then there were areas where,
they were losing
it. Right. So, I mean, because it's in real life, and in every area. I mean, who doesn't know an alcoholic who's, or you've been around one before? I mean, I know growing up, you always hear about one particular teacher who they say, oh, such and such smelled like he had a little alcohol on him. So fortunately, none of my teachers, I had one teacher, he was extremely boring. But, I mean, he was leaning across just monotone, like it was as if he was getting ready to go to sleep. But we kind of gave him a pass because he was like really, really up in age, right? And it was chemistry. So it was quite boring. He was bored with it. But other than that, I mean, I've never had a teacher where I actually smelled the alcohol in them. But I mean, just growing up and just, having family members or being around friends of the family or just, I mean, we've all seen how alcohol affects some people.
That's right.
Even more so than others.
So another round. Make sure that when it comes out and you see it on your streaming service that you definitely watch it. But remember that you will be reading subtitles. Okay, people. So moving on to a tool.
It's a definitely, once you see this film, it will turn you off, like growing up. What was that they had for us as children? Don't do drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
I don't know if it's going to turn people off. I think it's going to...
Oh my gosh, it should.
I don't think it's going to turn...
entertaining.
I don't think it's going to turn people off. I think it's going to turn the people on who want to... who want to do it. I think it's going to turn the people on to doing it who want to do it. I don't think it's not a film, it's not a cautionary tale because they mostly through the film they're having a good time. So it's not a cautionary tale.
Yeah,
so
but then there are ups and downs.
Yeah, it's ups and downs.
Yeah.
But in the end, the protagonist, you don't know is he flying or is he falling? And so you have to determine that for yourself while he's in his drunken euphoria, right?
Drunken euphoria.
Our next movie is Outside the Wire, right? So, oh wow, they just trying to clip me. They don't want people to know about Outside the Wire on Netflix.
Great film.
It's a great film. So let's break it down, right? They tried to clip me on Outside the Wire. Really?
I mean, great
Netflix.
cast. Come on.
Netflix, right? So look, the synopsis. A young fighter pilot, or should I say, a young drone operator pilot, is insubordinate as far as certain orders are concerned, is reassigned,
Right.
demoted to a lower position. He meets his next commanding officer, and I'll say, all snit hits the fan. That's my synopsis of it. Let's go through who's starring in it.
Okay, starring Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie, you know Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie from Marvel. You know he went from the Falcon
Right.
to being Captain America. But you know they said that they're going younger now for the Marvel. So will we ever see Kevin Mackie as Captain America? We don't know, but hopefully we'll
Yes,
see a
hopefully.
younger black man playing formerly Falcon Captain America. And if not, we don't need a reboot.
Right.
All right, and who
Plus, we
else?
reviewed him. He did a great job on The Banker.
Yes, he did. Yes,
Excellent.
he did. Him and Samuel L. Jackson. That's
Yeah.
right.
So that's one of our previous episodes. You have
Right.
to check that out. And Damson Idris.
Damson Idris. We
Yeah.
know Dantris Idris.
Damson Idris.
Damson, whatever it's Idris. I'm not
From
looking at the
Snowfall.
name.
From
We
Snowfall.
know him from Snowfall. Stop
Yeah.
the car. Stop the car. Stop the. You know he's got that LA accent down to a science, and we hear just a little bit of it in here. You know, he's not an American black
Right.
actor,
Right.
but he's bringing these characters to life. Who else is in it?
Emily Beecham, Christina Tantier Young, Polio Asbeck, Bob Lockwood, Adam Fielding, and Michael Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an ensemble cast telling I'll call it like a Cold War, because there's scrimmages and happenings within Cold Wars, right? But the problem in the story is, besides his obvious problem of being demoted, is that the codes to the nuclear codes to the Russian nuclear warheads that were stored away after the Cold War was over,
Right.
have somehow got into people's hands who are trying to deliver it to a madman, a person who wants to be a dictator, right?
Yeah.
And Kevin Mackey's character is assigned
Yep.
to stop it, and he gets, well, you'll see that in the film,
Right.
but Idris's character
Right.
is assigned to him, and he becomes his assistant to go fight this, right?
Right.
In between time, we have his character takes a long time to arc in this picture, right? Damson Idris is, look at his name now, so I got it.
Because we're used to saying Franklin
Yeah.
from Snowfall.
Damson Idris
Right.
takes a long time. His character takes a long time to arc in this picture, because Kevin Mackey he's obviously still pumped up over his Marvel years, and he's just kicking butt throughout the picture. It is an action-filled
It is.
picture with so many twists and turns and misdirections in the film. You don't know which way you're going. If you're going or coming or going.
Yeah.
It's so many twists in the
Right.
film.
They do a great job.
This is definitely, because if this was going to be in the theater, this was going to be a great action film in the theater.
Yeah.
It was going to be something that was great for both of these men's careers, I would say.
Because
Right?
the acting is stellar.
Yeah, the acting is stellar. Everyone in it, all the supporting cast members, the ensemble cast, it is A1 acting.
Yeah.
Now, what they show you in the film, Now remember, we talked about in episode, let me make sure I got it right. In episode 123 of hashtag TFR Podcast Live, we talked about the machines, right? We talked about the Boston Technologies company that have the dogs and have the robots that stand, they have balance. And just recently, they started showing you the robots and the dogs dancing together. In this film, they show you wartime robots, right? Robots created to fight war, right? So they're showing you what it is, and when you watch it, you're like, what are you going to combat this with, right? What are you going to combat this with? What are you going to combat this beyond AI, beyond artificial intelligence with, but a bazooka or something, a rocket launcher?
Especially when they choose at times to think for themselves. Like we saw, like you'll see in this film. Like, there's no controlling.
That's right. At one point in the film, they say, please don't preempt.
They do what they want to do.
And they do what they want to do, depending on, because they're programmed one way. And so because they're programmed one way, their thought process is when something looks easy or looks threatening, take it out.
Right.
When it looks easy to take out or it looks threatening, take it out.
Which is interesting because at that point, they don't even take orders from the person that's in charge of.
That's right. They stand autonomous. They stand alone, right?
Yeah.
So this is during this time of what we're in, this is a very entertaining piece. It will take you away for 2 hours and some seconds away from what you're going. So that's what we look for. Great entertainment that will take you away from what you are experiencing right now. And so, yes, this is that, right? Outside the wire is like that. You get the definition of what outside the wire means, all of that within this picture. It's well put together.
It is.
It came out a couple of days ago. Came out on Martin Luther King's birthday on Netflix, and it's up now and it's trending high. You should definitely see it. Okay.
They did a great job with casting, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yeah. Everyone in the cast is just, A1.
Because when we saw previews and when we saw that Damson Idris and then we saw Kevin Mackey, we said, okay, this has to be good. And then we watched the trailer and then we were just like, let it play.
Let's watch it. Yeah. So let's see. Let's break it down. Cinematography is a 10. Use of movement, camera movement is a 10. The use of CGI effect, right? I think it's a little stop motion in this too. I get that a 10. The use of green screen technology in this, beautifully done. There are places that you can, only the people who actually do film could tell they're not actually there, that it's like green screen and they're put within this world. That's a 10. The character development is a 10. The arcing of the character, Kevin Mackey is obviously the star, so the arcing of his character is faster than the assistant, which is Damson. What's his name?
Damson.
Damson. Yes, a Damson. Damson Idris. His arc is slightly slower, but he catches.
Do you think it's because
he's being outthought by?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Because, like you said, in this film, there are so many twists and turns, and us as viewers, we're like, wait a minute, I'm thinking, but this character is supposed to be one way, right? And then there's a twist, and then his character is is looking at this other character like us, so he's just as confused as us.
That's
but
right.
he's doing a great job acting it out.
Yeah, the acting is superb.
Right.
The acting skill,
Yeah.
and all the actors
Yeah.
in it, A1, that's a 10.
Yeah.
The use of location, right? CGI green screen as well as actual location, that's a 10.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say? What would you give
I would
outside the wire?
Definitely give it a 10 for all the reasons you gave it. I mean, because there are like twists and turns, right? And we talk about like Kevin Mackey's character as well as Damson Idris' characters. Like the twists and turns, like the writing, like it's smart, it's funny.
Who wrote this? Let's find out who wrote it and directed it, because I think it's something more that we need to see, right? At one point in the film, the Kevin Mackey's character tells Damson Idris' character that, why did they choose this face to represent America? And I want you to pay close attention to, why did they pick this face to represent America and not a blonde-haired, blue-eyed country boy? And then watch the writing and watch what they say in that scene. Who wrote it?
So, two writers, Rob Comby and Rowan Althale.
Okay. What do they look like? They're Russian?
Well, I don't
I don't know
know.
what it appears. But, so what would you give? I ran down the different.
I would definitely give it a 10 because, like we said, like the action, the acting, like for me, like Damson Idris. I told you during the film, like I can see the arc because not giving the film away for those who haven't seen it, but in the beginning, his mind state is one way, right? Because of the type of work he does. But then once he moves over and starts working with Kevin Mackey's character, he's working in another part of the military and it's more hands-on. So I can see the character arc, like the personality is starting to shift, right? And then in the beginning, when they give him a gun, he's like, okay, I'm not used to this. But then you can see he's comfortable with the gun because he becomes, he saves someone's life. So you can see like the arc. But
Slow.
But see, that's great writing, right? And that's great acting,
Actor's choice, I guess.
Right, he's a great actor. With Snowfall. And the other film he did, we reviewed. I can't think of the name of it now. When he's overseas.
Yeah, where he's
a skinhead.
Where he's a skinhead.
Yeah, but yeah. So, they really, really great film. Like on like you said, if it was in the theater, it would be like one of those a blockbuster number one sold out because it's just.
Because it's two
action,
names, Marvel and
right.
Snowfall. That was a great
names.
Combination.
Great.
Marvel and Snowfall.
So that's why I was saying the casting, because they're both really, really good actors, great actors, right? And then the movie moves, doesn't it? It's like action from beginning to end.
The reason why we like Damson Idris is because within this politic about American black actors not being cast in certain roles, the man, as far as, you don't know what his opinion is.
But I love the roles he chooses, right?
He's not like a certain female actress.
Oh.
Right? He keeps his opinions to himself. He keeps his head down. He learns, he immerses himself into the culture, especially within the Snowfall culture.
Right.
He immerses himself in the culture. He gains a understanding of what was happening during that time, how the government was involved within it, and he keeps his head down and he just does the work, and you don't see what kind of opinion. So he'll come through like a not a Denzel, but a Sidney Poitier or Harry Belafonte, he'll come through, whereas others may, or Cicely Tyson, or where others may be stymied because their opinion of how great they are as British actors, if you're that good, or you're Nigerian but you trained in Britain acting, if you're that good, how come you can't be on the stage there and be in their films and be leading people? Don't come over to the United States. Other than that, keep your opinion to how great an actor you are to yourself.
Yeah.
And then we wouldn't have this problem. So you gave it a 10?
I gave it a 10, and I think kind of like certain actors, right? You look at the projects that they choose, right? And that's what I like about like Denzel, right? I look at the projects that he reads the script.
He's an American black actor, though.
He reads the script, and he selects projects with, as you know, with, you would say, with substance and with agency, right? And with dignity, right? Not all actors and actresses do this, right? So from looking at Damson Idris's body of work so far, because he's a young actor, he's a young actor, and from the projects that we've seen him in, well thought out. So I think he has a long and a bright future ahead of him if he continues to be very selective in the projects that he chooses. And but yeah, he's a really young, really good actor.
Right. So I give Outside the Wire, playing now on Netflix. I give it a 10. All right, people. So to recap, we saw and we discussed
Promising Young Woman, which is a great film.
Another Round,
yes,
which is a tour de force into the world of alcoholism, right? And of course, Outside the Wire.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Great
We have done that. We have done that
We've had
today.
3 really good films.
Really good films to talk about today, right?
For the Martin Luther King weekend.
And we spoke on what would Martin Luther King do, right? What would Martin Luther King do? Because let me tell you something. Martin Luther King wouldn't be doing the crap that half of the people are doing here. They wouldn't. Oh my! I don't know why.
She's talking on her own.
You know, phones. When they hear you, they start to record these days. I don't know what it is.
How about when we was in the car the other day and just out the blue?
She said, I was trying to be nice. I said, really?
Just out the blue.
I mean, you were just trying to be nice, right?
As opposed to what?
Right. This is what we're going to leave you with tonight. You know, we usually do memes, but we didn't get into the memes too heavy tonight because it's Martin Luther King weekend, right? Let's be precise. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who graduated from college when he was 16 years old, moved the people. And if you read his book, Where We Go From Here, Where Do We Go From Here? It's nothing like what we're doing now. So I'm going to leave you with this. This comes from Boyce Watkins. You know, politics makes strange bedfellows. I didn't notice till I got older that a lot of our people are raised to be scared, sensitive, and easily triggered. This keeps us constantly reacting to what other people might do to us, what other people might do to us, instead of being proactive about what we can do for ourselves. I tell you, politics makes strange bedfellows, right? So we leave you with that from Boyce Watkins. Anything you want to say on the way out?
No. Everyone have a great week.
Right.
Oh, and stay safe.
Stay safe out here.
Stay safe. Definitely stay safe.
Stay safe out there, you know, as those marauders, right? as those marauders. Tanya M. Congress says, yes, mine just started recording the last Friday before. Remember? Yes, that is true. Yes on Boyce Watkins' meme. Yes. So this has been another great, robust episode of TFR Podcast Live. I have to make sure I wasn't saying the other stuff. The film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. We come on at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. Tune in, and then Monday through Friday, we come on with a show called #Observations TFR. That's myself and my special guest host, my sister Tanya M. Congress. And then tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, is What's the Point? Make sure you tune in. We have a special 4-episode shot up on Spotify right now on What's the Point, hosted by Tanya M. Congress. Make sure you check that out. You go over to Spotify and you see all of us there. The link is in You Found the Spot. Make sure you join You Found the Spot on FB, right? So that you can go right there, click right there, and it takes you straight to Spotify, and you're able to listen to everything that we have. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Right? On #You Found the Spot.
Yes.
The Spot Podcast. You see I'm wearing the original film review. My wife is wearing the Spot.
Right.
Movies, music, culture, politics, the Holy Bible Society. Just #You Found the Spot on Google, and everything comes up, right?
Yeah.
So, people, this has been another robust show of #TFR Podcast Live, the film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Crazy D.
Tracey.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, society. And we will see you next week. Next week with another great episode of our show.
The Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Spot Podcast and the Film Review Life channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching The Film Review.